The home video update is sponsored by you. Yes, you. Head on over to patreon.com/home video update to join as a patron to unlock exclusive membership benefits. Thank you for supporting the home video update. Hi guys, it's Mike. It is just before 7 a.m. on the 18th of December 2022. I know it's been a couple of weeks since the last one. A lot has changed since the last one, which I'll go through a little bit later on. For now, we'll do the normal basic standard plan of the podcast. So we'll start with what I've been watching. Yeah, I've done a few little bits here and there, in that I've sort of caved and bought some things maybe I said I wouldn't ever buy. I got a very good deal on the Back to the Future trilogy, 4K. Now it is crap. It's not a DNR disaster. It's not Terminator 2 or anything, but it isn't right. It could be a lot better, I think is the way to say that. The main thing is the remixed audio. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. You don't need to have remixed audio as the only audio choice. You need to have a choice of these things. It's meant to be archival. I've said this a million times. But they're okay. I mean, I got them really cheap. I think it's a Black Friday deal. The morning starts already. I've got an energy drink. Hopefully that carries me through. So yeah, I watched all three of them, pretty much back to back near enough. And yeah, they're not disasters. I'd seen the screenshots, I've seen bits in motion, and they were okay, but they weren't great. They could have been great. They could have been these lovely archival releases, like I say, but they're not. All it means is Universal could potentially do another release further down the line, which I could see happening, to be honest. So that remains to be seen. I haven't dipped into any of the extra bits and bobs because it's pretty much the same stuff that was always been on the Blu-rays and DVDs. I mean, I own the Blu-rays because I got them again really, really cheap. I don't know what I paid for this set. I think it was under £15 for the three, which I thought was really good deal, and definitely worth doing. I got a voucher for eBay. There was a voucher that coincided with something else, for someone else sent them cheap in a Black Friday deal or something. I can't remember, to be honest. But I thought it was worth a shout just to, I don't know, I wanted to own a better version of it. The only versions I've got of 2 and 3 that I would watch are the HDTV rips, and they are blocky and horrible, and the old, the worst of the MPEG-2 compression you've ever seen that was on American HDTV. I had the DCP of the original Back to the Future, the full file and the recoded file, and all these other bits and bobs. I've just got them on Laserdisc. I've got the DVDs. I think I've got the misframed original DVDs somewhere. Oh my god, yawning again. It's the Yawning Podcast, that's what it is. Yeah, the original misframed DVDs are somewhere, I think, in the trilogy set, and I've got the Blu-ray set again because I think I got it for absolutely nothing. When I shut my Blockbuster down, most of the stuff, we found the 90% off code on the system, so we put everything through at 90% off, so I think I paid like £1 for the trilogy box set. I wanted a goodish way of watching it. I want a good way of watching the second and the third more than anything. And they say they're not disasters, but they are not right. They don't look like they should look. They could look a lot better. Talking of pointless remix audio, I got two movies in my local HMV. It was a 2 for 25 deal, I think. Or was it 2 for 20? It was one of the two. I got Joe Carnahan's Smoking Aces, a film that didn't do as well at box office as it's probably deserved, which is really annoying because it did deserve to do a lot better than it did. I think the trailers were selling it as this out and out like stupid action film, and it is, but it isn't. You know, when it gets to the end and it all amps up, when they get into the hotel, it goes nuts. But it's not that film. It's really disjointed and mad, and that's why he got the A-Team, because he could juggle all that, and I like the A-Team. It's not a perfect movie, it's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie, and that's all I wanted from it. But again, remixed audio, no need for it. I feel it came out in 2006. There's no need for having on that. It's not egregious, it's not terrible, but it was a really good sound mix anyway. I've got the Blu-ray somewhere, which I'll probably end up giving to my brother. But I still like that movie, and I still go to bat for it. I think it's great. I finished my Star Trek trilogy and watched Star Trek Beyond. I think it is probably still my favourite of the three. I don't really know for sure. I haven't done my ranking of the others ones yet. I never rewatched them all. That was the point, to rewatch them all so I could go back and do the rankings and everything. I don't know. I like it a lot. I like it more than Into Darkness, obviously. But though Into Darkness does win me over the IMAX scenes, which is pretty fun. But it's a fun little ride. It's silly. It's just fun. I watched Fallen, which I've always called The Fallen, but it's just Fallen, which is the Denzel Washington film director. Was it Gregory Holbert who directed it? Yeah, Holbert who directed it. A serial killer movie that basically sold DVD. I remember it being a big DVD thing in the Snapper case. It was like a big early DVD that everyone really picked up because it was like beginning of the format. There's nothing else to watch. It came out in 98, which is when DVD was starting to pick up. So it's obviously the big thing. I think I rented it on DVD the first time I saw it. I didn't see it in the cinema, which is rare for me in a serial killer movie, but I didn't see it in the cinema. Rented it on DVD and quite liked it, but I don't think I've seen it since then. I don't think I've seen it in HD, and I don't think I've seen it in a very long time, but it's okay. It doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. It feels like it's a couple of cuts away from like a really effective serial killer movie, and it doesn't really work. I watched that streaming on Prime or Netflix, one of the two. I think it's Prime, because it was set on my list on Prime for ages, and I thought I'll watch that, and they took it off. As you know, this podcast is about is buy stuff, so you can't get it taken away. But it's a film I didn't want to buy unless it was like in a really good deal or really cheap on a charity shop or something. Because I remember thinking it was okay, and I still think it's okay. But it didn't really sort of light me on fire. It's got some good performances in it. It's got some good bits here and there. But it was when Denzel Washington was in everything, and I don't say the quality suffered because he was still a good actor, but it didn't really go anywhere. It's fine. It's something I will pick up eventually because I do like a good serial killer movie, and it's worth watching. Maybe there's some deleted scenes or something else on the Blu-ray that I could have a look at and see if, I can see where they're trying to go with this film. The other film I got in my 2 for whatever it was in HMV was National Lampoon's Animal House. Again, stupid remixed audio. It should be a mono soundtrack. It's got DTSSX, but it's actually, for Universal, a decent looking disc. The Blues Brothers should have looked like this, really. It doesn't. It looks like crap. Even worse, it sounds like crap. But the picture quality is fantastic. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's been managed a little bit because it's Universal, it is what it is, but it looks better than Back to the Future does. It's still a funny movie. It's less egregious than something like Revenge of the Nerds with the sex caper comedy stuff. It's still fun. I still think John Landis is a murderer because he is, but I think it's good to watch. I think it hasn't dated that badly, and it still holds up for the most part. Haven't looked at any extras on it. I'm pretty sure they're all the same as from all the previous releases. Universal doesn't tend to go the bat for new bits and bobs. Then I got into a little thing of, it only lasted like 2 days, because I was still working at this point. Where I wanted to watch, because it was really snowy in the UK and frosty and horrible and freezing cold. I didn't want to watch Christmas movies. I wanted to watch snowy movies. So the first thing I watched was 30 Days a Night. I can remember watching 30 Days a Night in the cinema with my brother, coming out, walking home, and it was really thick fog, and then it started snowing. It was the freakiest thing in the world. You couldn't see, and you had the snow. And it was late at night, and it was amazing. It was somewhere around Halloween, and it came out in like November. But it might have been a preview or something for Halloween. I can remember going to see it because it was a spooky season sort of thing. And this film still holds up. It's fantastic. Watch it on Blu-ray. It is effective. It's well directed, well acted. The sound mix is amazing. I think it's a fantastic movie that deserved way more plaudits than it got. It's a shame, really, that it didn't really go anywhere. I know I've heard some people talk about it, but not many, to be fair. Every now and again you hear someone go, "Oh, that film. Oh, that was good. Oh, that film. Yeah, I know that film." But it's very rare. I mean, David Slade, who directed it, should have gone on to direct some really amazing stuff. But I'm just looking at what he did. He only did, like, didn't he want the Twilight movies? He did some episodes of Hannibal, some episodes of Breaking Bad. Yeah, Twilight Eclipse, which was the end of his theatrical career by the looks of it. Hard Candy. Lots of Muse videos, POD, Aphex Twin videos. We did Hard Candy, then straight into 30 Days a Night, and then literally did nothing else, which is kind of a shame. He's got a film called Red Bird Lane. 8 strangers arrive at an isolated house, all for different reasons. So he's actually doing a TV movie. With Susan Sarandon and Crispin Glover, though. Hey, okay. Jamie Clayton, Danny Houston. All right, this might actually be quite good. When's this out? 2021. Oh. So it's already out then. Okay. And I can't find any details about... Oh, and a TV pilot. So it's got a massive cast, lots of stuff. Seems quite promising, and... Yeah, kind of goes nowhere. That's unfortunate. Yeah, David Slade is a good director, and he should have done more. And that's heartbreaking that he's literally gone nowhere. Because it's a really effective thriller. It's when Josh Hartnett started transitioning into actually being an actor. I like Mr. George in it, and Ben Foster is the best. Me and my brother had this thing about Ben Foster that we always said that you never see him and Giovanni Ribisi in the same place. And then I messaged him because I watched that horrible, what's that Marky Mark film? Begins with a C. It's not Collateral, it's Contraband. That is terrible. But also, there's a scene where they're both together. I'm like, nah, it's done with mirrors. CGI, mate. That can't be true. Ben Foster's amazing. There's that bit in Alpha Dog. I might watch Alpha Dog today. I'll find my Blu-ray of that. Where he walks into an entire party, kicks up some fuss, and then fights an entire party. It's amazing. From the guy who was like, I remember I tweeted Judd Apatow about this, and he replied. Because obviously he played someone with special needs in Freaks and Geeks. I don't remember if he had autism or Downs or whatever it was. And I said, was he always like that? Was Ben Foster always like that? He said, he's one of the loveliest guys you ever met, one of the hardest workers. And yes, he was always, method. He just went in and he did the job, and that was it. And he was like really good. And I just can't talk well enough about if you haven't seen, if you listen to this podcast and haven't seen 30 Days a Night, watch it, because it's a legitimately fantastic vampire movie. And for this time of year, if you've got snowy, cold weather outside, it's the perfect one for it. Obviously, it's a comic book adaptation. I've got the graphic novel. The graphic novel is also great. Then I watched Everest, a film I saw in the cinema in 3D and loved. It's one of the first 4Ks I bought as well. I remember buying it, and it's got those cool, like, the nice shiny cases that Universal did for a little while. I still like this movie. I still think it's very good. I think it does a lot of things well. It's an effectively directed movie. I mean, oh my God. So this is the weirdest coincidence in the world. So literally, just looking at what the director did. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. Baltazar Kormaka. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. But I saw something just then when I loaded up IMDb of like what he directed. And I always said that I like Denzel Washington better, or I only really liked Denzel Washington when Tony Scott directed him. It's just a thing. I've got nothing against him as an actor or a person. It's just he was better in those things, and he was not as good with another director. It just didn't work as well. However, there are two movies. One's Safe House, which I really need to watch again, and one's Two Guns. And I thought, oh, he directed Two Guns. Oh, okay. That's a very Tony Scott light-like movie. With Mark Wahlberg. That's a coincidence. And I realised he directed Contraband as well. So yeah, he directed Contraband. Who's in it? Kate Beckinsale. Yeah. Oh, Caleb Landry Jones is in it. Okay. Yeah, that's a weird coincidence. And he also directed Beast, which is the thing I talked about on one of the first episodes of this podcast, which I actually quite like Beast. I think it's all right. But yeah, it's got an amazing all-star cast, Everest. It's one of these films I wish I'd seen in IMAX 3D. I bet it would have been mind-blowing. It's a gorgeous film to look at. It's well-directed. It's got a lot of tension. It tells a good story because obviously it's a true story. There's a review here that says, no good guys, no bad guys, just the facts as they're known. And it's kind of like that. I think they did, I was looking for the trivia as I was flicking through it. And yeah, there were some sort of changes from real life, but there has to be dramatic license. There has to be something here and there. It's got a gorgeous Atmos sound mix. It is really good. I mean, I lament all the time about the fact that no one does good sound mixes anymore, especially in these days of object-based, and maybe they could do more, and they don't. Well, this is a good object-based sound mix. It is really fantastic. It uses the heights well. It uses objects really well. Things whip around you. I'd love to have seen it in IMAX 12 channel mix. But yeah, it's really good. Then I had a little trip. So do I digress it? No, I'll tell them out of order. It'll be the last one to talk about because it leads into my sort of newsy thing before I get into the actual newsy news. I watched The Frighteners. I've long since said, it's been mentioned on other podcasts as well, because I've written into them, that the last good thing Peter Jackson did was The Frighteners. I stand by this. Love You Bones is pretty good. I don't like the Rings movies. The first one was pretty good. The rest I just don't like. It's just over-reliance on CGI and no heart and no soul. I don't get it. I'm no problem with other people liking them. They're hugely popular. It's just not for me. The Frighteners is a masterpiece. I never got the Laserdisc, which bummed me out. I still look at every now and again the Universal Signature Series Laserdisc and the normal Laserdisc. I will get them eventually. I got the DVD, the original DVD, and I fell in love with it there, or I rented it on VHS, one of the two. I went in VHS first. So I rented it on VHS. I couldn't see it in the cinema because my cinema didn't get it. The cinema I had in the town I lived in at the time was a 3-screen one that only got like the biggest, best stuff, and it didn't get The Frighteners. So watched it on VHS, loved it, got the DVD the minute it came out. Then I got the Collector's Edition Director's Cut DVD, which I still have somewhere. My brother got me the limited edition glow-in-the-dark slipcase on Blu-ray. I've got the normal Universal Blu-ray as well. Disc Junkie from YouTube sent me a really nice slipcase version, which I don't know where that is. It's in a box somewhere. Of it with, again, a glow-in-the-dark case. A really pretty thing that is. I have to find that and get it out and put it with like a Frighteners collection thing. But I picked up the German Turbine release. People who listen to the podcast quite often will obviously know I bought it live on air. It came. It was hugely expensive. It's the most I've spent on a single film for a very long time. But it's really nice. I got the new artwork edition. It's beautiful. It's got spot gloss on it. It's a really lovely package. It's got a lot of discs in it. It's got a poster with the original art and the new art. It's got like a version of his business card. It's got lots of little bits of tat. It's got a really nice book, which is all in German, so no good to me, but it's beautiful. And I sat down, stuck it into 5.1, put on the director's cut, and sat there. And do you know what? There are people on the forums who rightly have gone against Turbine because of things like their upscales and whatever else. And hey, yeah, I've got No Escape. No Escape is the best version you can get of it. That Blu-ray is the best version you can own of No Escape. Is it good? It's all right. Is it proper 4K with a 4K scan of an original master? I don't think it is. No, I think it's an upscale, very good upscale, but it's not right. It is far from terrible, and it looks really good. And it's got lots of audio choices, including a 2.0 mix, a 5.1 mix. And if I want to watch No Escape, that's the best way to watch it. It's better than any other Blu-ray out there. It is not perfect, but this version of The Frighteners is gorgeous. Now, there is some weird funkiness going on with grain time to time, but that's because it was an early CGI movie. Well, not early CGI, but that 90s CGI. I think I've talked about it before. It's that thing where it's not like when dupes step down generation or whatever else, or when you use an optical and you lose some sort of clarity and the grain steps up. There was a thing where they were basically animating directly onto the film. Stargate did this, where they put the CGI directly in the film or whatever else did, and it goes dark, for the better want of better words. So it's like someone put real 3D glasses on over the film, and it goes a bit dark, and the grain looks weird. Well, that's because it was early CG. That's how they did it. Not with real D glasses. You know what I mean? It's like an extra on top of the film, and a lot of that happens. And there's a lot of CG in this film. I mean, not by like the standard way. I mean, there's still sets and things. There's no set replacements or anything else, but it was very early CG. It's very good CG. Still to this day, Weta did some amazing stuff there. Oh gosh, stop yawning. But it is fantastic. It looks good. It's not an upscale. It's not covered in DNR like all Peter Jackson things are. That's why I was worried about this. You look at Let It Be or anything else he's done, and they're crap. This is miles better than the Ring stuff looks. This is miles better than Let It Be. This is miles better than anything else. This looks like The Frighteners. It looks good. It sounds good. I want to watch the theatrical cut again because I think I watched the theatrical cut so much when it came out that I've seen the director's cut quite a bit and prefer the director's cut, but I haven't seen it enough. And there were actually bits that I watching and again, oh, I don't remember this bit. And then halfway through it, I go, oh, no, I do remember that bit because I haven't seen it as much. But it is still excellent. I would recommend it. You might want to wait the 4 years or whatever it is till Arrow gets their version out because it's very expensive. It's probably already sold out. I got a very low number. I think it was like 300 and something because I think most people went for the original art edition. I like the original art, but I've got it on everything. I wanted that new art. I think it's actually really well done. And I would recommend the disc. I think it's fantastic. It is very expensive, but if you like The Frighteners like I do, I think it's worth it. Next, we have films I watched yesterday, so very fresh. I watched Man of Steel for obvious reasons. The whole news about Henry Cavill and James Gunn and Peter Safran coming in and wrecking the DC universe and starting again, as they should do, because it was a complete mess and needed bulldozing. So that's what they did. They ripped it up and start again, and I don't blame them in the slightest. I still like Man of Steel. It's got the Zack Snyderisms. It's a little bit too edgelord darky. You know, it's like, ooh, aren't we edgy and dark? And ooh, no, it's Superman. I mean, come on. It's got some good moments. It's great. I love it. I love Cavill as Superman. Russell Crowe's really good in it. I think it's definitely held up well. It's got a good sound mix. The 4K looks great. I'm sure they could actually do a newer master of it with Dolby Vision to keep the cheap seats happy and things like that, but I don't think it's needed. I just think it's fantastic. It's not perfect at all, but it's worth watching, and I'm going to miss Henry as Superman. But what they should have done is they should have done Man of Steel, Batman, Affleck Batman, Man of Steel 2, Batman v Superman, then Justice League. That's what they should have done. They shouldn't have just gone straight to Batman v Superman and Justice League. Should have got a proper sequel for Superman, and we should have got a proper introduction of Batman, and then they could have done it. They just rushed it, and it fell apart. It should have done it like that. Oh, stop yawning. It's a shame, but it is. It still holds up. It's still good. It's not great. It's not Superman, the movie. It's not Superman 2 even. It's still the best we've got in a long time. I still like Returns. That's far from perfect, but I like Returns. Next we have the worst looking film I've ever streamed on a streaming service for an HD modern movie. It's a film from 2003. Now, it could be for two reasons. I watched Welcome to the Jungle. That's a confusing statement because there's lots of films called Welcome to the Jungle. Also known as The Rundown. It was filmed as Welcome to the Jungle, and that's why there's a line in it, Welcome to the Jungle. And then it's released as The Rundown most places, including the US, and Welcome to the Jungle in the UK. It is cut in the UK for violence because they wanted to get it out for a 12 rating, and the BBFC said, nope, not getting a 12 on that. So they put it out at a lower rating with cuts. Now, I'm wondering if it looks like crap, as I watch it on Netflix. I don't actually own it. It was very hard to come by. It was released very sparsely on Blu-ray, and then I think it's been deleted because I can't seem to find it anywhere last time I looked. It was a while since I looked. But I saw it come back onto Netflix, and I thought, do you know what? I fancy watching that. I'll watch it. I remember when The Rock had promised and wasn't Black Adam and, up his own arse. And I'm pretty sure it's the cut version, judging by some of the cuts made it, mostly in the bar fight. And I think that's the reason it looks so bad. It looks so bad because it's, a crappy edited version. It looks so terrible. It looks like a bad DVD. And I kept down to check, see if it's HD or if it's like something that's downloading on the laptop and, killing my bandwidth. But no, it was running full bitrate HD. It's like, okay, that looks crap. It still holds up. It's fun. I think Peter Berg is massively hit and miss as a director. I think this is like his calling card to say, hey, look, I'm not just an actor. I can do really cool action films. And off and on, he's done really cool action films. I think people really like Very Bad Things. I thought it wasn't that good. It's not bad. It just doesn't really hit me in the way I thought it would. Friday Night Lights I never saw. The Kingdom I like. I've talked about that. Hancock's terrible. Maybe in the original version it would have been good, but I don't like Hancock at all. Battleship's god awful. Lone Survivor I never saw because from the director of Battleship, and I forgot who Peter Berg was. Deepwater Horizon I love. I think that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic movie. Patriots Day is pretty good as well. They came out in the same year. Wow. Mile 22 I never watched because it was meant to be terrible. Same as Spencer Confidential. Yeah, massively hit and miss. I think he needs to leave Marky Mark alone and go do something else because it doesn't work, does it? Talking of director / star combos, I watched the Tom Cruise, Chris McQuarrie, Jack Reacher. Now, I saw this in the cinema, loved it. I know everyone at the time was crying because Tom Cruise isn't 6'8". I didn't think it mattered then. I don't think it matters now. I like the TV show. I think what's his name? Josh Hutcherson is fantastic as Reacher. Mainly because he is a brick shit house and could destroy you just by looking at you. That's great. Fine with that. However, he didn't need to be that tall because he did it with his actions and his looks and his attitude. I think it worked because Cruise has managed to pull it off by just being Tom Cruise, I think it's great. I think it's amazingly well written. It's better written than the TV series because Chris McQuarrie is a better writer. I think it's well made, well directed. I think it's got great action. And you can see why they started working together a lot more after that. I mean, oh, yawning. He was his go-to, and he still is his go-to, script doctor now. He has been his script doctor for a very long time. He's also just a fantastic director, which is kind of scary. He's like a triple threat sort of thing. So, I mean, going through writer, Usual Suspects, obviously his big calling card, Wear the Gun, which he doesn't like, and I've talked to him on Twitter about this. I love the Wear the Gun, and he said, I'm glad that you like it, but I don't. And I'm like, yeah, great, but it is great. The Wear the Gun is a great film. Valkyrie, which is his first Tom Cruise like collaboration. And then he got him into direct for Jack Reacher. I mean, he's written some duds like The Tourist and Jack the Giant Slayer. That's a shame, Jack the Giant Slayer. I didn't know that. I was meant to watch that again the other day because it went up on Prime or Netflix or something. I'm like, I remember seeing that in the cinema. Yeah, no. Edge of Tomorrow, obviously fantastic. And that got him into the Mission Impossible world. So he went and did Rogue Nation with Cruise, writing that. He also wrote The Mummy, which is unfortunate. I think he was mostly there to fix The Mummy, to be honest, because David Coep and a few other people did write it, and he sort of tried to fix it and couldn't, obviously. Mission Impossible Fallout, Top Gun Maverick, obviously. And then we go into Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Part 1 and 2, Untitled Tom Cruise SpaceX Project, The Prisoner, earlier script, so I'm guessing that's the Patrick McGowan thing, and Ice Station Zebra, I didn't know they were remaking that. Interesting. There's no dates on that, but But obviously, as director, he's directed a lot less. The Way of the Gun, Jack Reacher, Rogue Nation, Fallout, obviously the 2 Mission Impossible movies. 3 to Kill, which sounds familiar. I don't know what 3 to Kill is, but there's no details on that. Yeah, I mean, this is the first time he was directing Cruise, and I think the sequels, they're successful because so Ed Zwick did it, and it's not as good. It's okay. It just lacks that tight direction that McQuarrie does. He knows how to direct action. And it's a bit of a shame that it didn't come out as well as it probably could have done. Cruise was on not a flop thing there, because he had Rogue Nation, then he had Jack Reacher, flop. The Mummy, mega flop. I like The Mummy. It's not very good, but I like it. American Made, which is fantastic, but didn't make any money. Before he went back to Mission Impossibles and everything else. But McQuarrie didn't seem to be listed under screenplay for the sequel. I thought he had something to do with the sequel. Nope. So Marshall Heskovitz, Edward Zwick, who also directed it, and Richard Wenk. So yeah, he must have just produced it then. It's a shame. It lacks the dialogue. It lacks the fun. I'm going to rewatch it. I've got it on 4K. I'll put it on, just rewatch it and see what I think of it second time around. But I remember really not liking it as much. It's got its moments, but no. So I've left my previous job where, I didn't have days off or time off, and I worked stupid hours, and everything was all terrible and everything else, and it kind of got in the way of the podcast. Now, I'm not going to commit perfectly to doing one absolutely every week, because I think that's stupid. I'm starting a new job that I've never, worked in before. It is a lot more traveling. I mean, I could drive to my job in under 5 minutes from where I am now. This is going to be at least 40 minutes to an hour every day each way. But I am now working for a major cinema chain. I'm not going to be filling like popcorn and drinks. It's not that type of a job. It's more, I don't know what I can and can't talk about. Obviously there are going to be like rules and things around copyrights and things like this that I can and can't talk about and things. And, I'm not going to be filling in necessarily on all the details of every DCP ever, and oh yeah, this was done at this and this. I might be able to talk about a bit here and there. I'm not going into too much detail now because I haven't really started yet. I start in the new year. I've left this job now, and I really, really want to get into some details on it, but I just don't want to blow it yet because it's kind of the dream job sort of thing. Working with that side of it. Like I say, it's not taking tickets and stuff like that. I'll have to do that for a little bit because that's where the training involves. You've got to know every single part of the job. But it's only during the training period. I will be doing a lot more than that, and I will potentially know a lot more than that and have access to things and whatever else. Maybe see films early. I don't know what I can talk about and can't talk about again. Haven't started. I'll be training in a different cinema at some point, and then going to my cinema. It is kind of a dream job, yeah. I mean, I'd rather be a film director, but being involved in the business at all is kind of a dream, especially the technical side of it. I mean, I was talking the other day when I was in there about, Avatar having like 17 different DCPs and things like that, and it's fantastic. I was just like, I can talk to people about things like that now, and they don't look at me blankly. So at the moment, I've got no one in the previous job I could really talk to about movies. I mean, one of the guys I talked to liked movies, but his favorite actor was Chris Pratt, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to talk to you about, oh, last night I watched The French Connection, and then double it at The French Connection Part 2, which I like a lot more, even though everyone hates it. He wouldn't know what that conversation was about because he hasn't got the frame of reference. He knows about Jurassic Park, Dominion, and Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. You can like what you like. But I can actually have a proper conversation. During the interview, and that's what the favourite film was, and blah, blah, blah. And he had a True Romance quad poster in the office. And I'm like, well, that's Tony Scott. Tony Scott is the man. I mean, and then going into all these things, and it's like, yeah, my favourite film of all time is Thief, Michael Mann movie from 1981, blah, 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 blah. It's basically a template for Drive. And then he said, when I went to see him after the interview, when I got off the job, it's like, you've got this skill, this skill, this skill, this skill, but also you love movies. And I'm like, well, yeah, he said, that came through. You can talk about this stuff forever. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I told him I got a podcast. I told him I write like movie reviews and things like this. I have got that background. So on Tuesday this week, I drove to my place of work, which is about 40 minutes. Had to sign some bits and bobs, drop some stuff off, that sort of things, right to work, information, all these other bits. And then I drove another 40 minutes to Newport in Wales. Why did I go to Newport in Wales? Because they have a ScreenX. It's the only ScreenX anywhere near me. I wanted to go there for quite a while. The problem is the times were rubbish. I'm a real stickler for going to see films in the very early afternoon or late morning. So, for example, I'm driving an hour and a half to Plymouth on Wednesday to go see Avatar. Now, I'm not a big fan of Avatar, even though I own about 17 copies of it, but I'm going to see Avatar Way of the Water because they are guaranteeing they're going to have it in IMAX 3D and high frame rate. So I'm there, I haven't seen high frame rate properly since Gemini Man. I want to see the adaptive high frame rate that Cameron's doing. I want to see, if I'm going to see this, I'm going to see it in IMAX 3D. I saw the original in 3D in a normal cinema. I saw the extended version in 3D in that same cinema. Or in scope as well. So it'd be interesting to see this in IMAX. I'm quite looking forward to it, just for the idea of like the technical side of it. I'm not going as an employee. I'm not going to name drop anything. If they ask me, maybe, but I'm going to go for the technical side of it. So I went to see. He said, "But you're going all the way there?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because it's the only place to see ScreenX. So I didn't go to the ScreenX because the times. I was going to go for Wakanda Forever because it has 60 minutes of expandiness versus 20 minutes of IMAXiness. But I went to the IMAX in the end because they were only showing it from 5:40 onwards, which is stupid. That's a bespoke screen. You could show things all day in it. I don't get why they don't, but okay. Maybe I'll learn this in the future. So I don't know for sure, why they don't show things all day. Some days they do. So I went to see Top Gun Maverick because they were doing a thing. It's back in cinemas, back in IMAX, back in ScreenX. £3 tickets. So I thought, well, for £3, it's worth the trip. I'm going out anyway. I might as well just carry on. So I filled the car up with good fuel, not cheap supermarket fuel, but good fuel. Drove down to the base work and then drove on to the ScreenX. Now, getting into the ScreenX, I got there very early because I misjudged traffic. I thought I'd give myself enough time to get across the bridge and everything to Wales. And rocked up about an hour early, sat in the Starbucks, had a vanilla oat milk latte, just chilled out, and then I thought, nah, sod it. So get my normal thing, which is cherry Pepsi Max and a half sweet, half salt popcorn. Walk up, and they must have had a staffing issue or something's gone wrong because everyone there, apart from the manager, had no idea where anything was because they're from a different cinema. So they said, well, I don't know where Screen X is. There's Screen 8 over there. And things. So, well, it's going to be one of the screen numbers, but the Screen X is the format. So we haven't got a Screen X or a thing. And I said, oh, I'm actually the cinema manager for this one, but I haven't started yet. Blah, 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 blah. And they said, oh, here it is over there. And found it. And I walked in and I was blown away. For anyone who hasn't seen Screen X or know what it is, basically the sides of the auditorium are an actual screen. So they look like really light grey, the same sort of fuzzy carpet, I call it, that goes on the walls in a normal screen, that acoustic dampening or whatever else, and light trapping. They are grey and flat, not bubbly, like a screen almost. They're not a screen, they're still fabric. And there are, I think there's 6 projectors each side, if not more, pointed at the opposite wall. And during some scenes, the walls light up, so the scene extends. And I was wary about this, mainly because it's a brand new, silly, weird, fun little thing. But also because it's, does it work? Is it better? Is it worse? What's going on? I don't understand if it's good. Is it bad? What is it? So I thought, do you know what? Rather than going to see a film I hadn't seen and then Screen X ruins it, especially for the massive trip that I've got to take to do it, what about instead of that, I go see a film I've already seen? Now, like I was saying to my boss, I was like, have you not seen Maverick? I'm like, I've got 2 steelbooks of it at home. I've got 2 4K steelbooks. I saw it in the cinema in IMAX. I saw it in Scope. I love it. It's going to be in my top 5 for the year easily. And yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And I thought, well, let's go see it in Screen X. So basically, during some times during the film, the whole of the side, so right front to back, light up with more picture information. Now, I've only seen one film, so I can't say for sure. Now, it was only the times when the IMAX changed. So I've got the IMAX things dialed into my head for whenever it changed. And it's pretty much only during the IMAX scenes that it did the down the side bit. There was some oddness. Now, this is me being me, and we know what I'm like. So the main things that really annoyed me were... Now, I didn't come away from this annoyed, but let's focus on the negatives first, maybe. So the sides of the screen light up, yeah? So the sides of the auditorium light up with more picture information. That's a lot of lumens. So it washes out the front screen a little bit. Because in pitch black, that screen looks great. It's got a Barco 4K projector. It's a good laser projector. It's fine. And then all of a sudden, the lights turn on the sides of the screen and it washes out a little bit. That's unfortunate, especially during a really bright scene. So the bits in the snow at the end are quite washed out. There's also some weirdness in that you can see that sometimes they've stretched the information over to the other side of the screen or almost fake CGI'd things. So you see Tom Cruise or a silhouette, sort of very low detail version of Tom Cruise running from the left-hand side, and then he appears on the middle screen. Now, you're only meant to look, and there's a trailer before that says focus on the center. And you focus on the center, and then the sides light up during certain periods. Now, it's meant to be immersive, and I thought Top Gun were really good for the fighter pilot stuff, because it is, and it's fantastic. If they had the ceiling as well, that'd be amazing. I don't know how logistically you'd do it. But it streaks down the side, and you think you're in the cockpit. It's really impressive. It's like all those little simulation rides you used to see back in the day that like a little people carrier on stilts that would move, and it was like VR or whatever else. It's really fun. The film still holds up, obviously. I won't talk about quality of the film. I love that film. It's great. But it was really amazing to see certain bits. And then I started noticing that the frame rate wasn't quite right. Now, I don't know whether it's because I thought about this quite a bit while I was sitting there, because I've seen the film so I could think about these things and notice these things and turn my head more and like play more. I don't know if it's because it's motion sickness. If you're in this tunnel of 24 frames per second, does it make you motion sick, especially on a film like that when you're flying in a thing, if it's all running at that same speed because your eyes are catching this stuff? I think it could be that. I don't know whether it felt like it was either every other frame, so like 12 frames per second, and it felt jittery like every other frame, or whether it was just a lower frame rate. And it could be because of that motion sickness thing, is what I've landed on. Can't find any details about the sound formats they use, whether it's proprietary, whether it's just PCM 5.1 or whatever it is. It sounded fine, but there were certain times where I was just like, "Oh, that's weird." Or there was a brilliant moment. I can't remember what it was, but it was. I think it was during one of the briefing scenes that cuts back to fighter scenes, which were in IMAX, so it's in big and here. And there's a bit where you see like a console, and the console's all lit up, apart from the bit on the right-hand wall, which was basically like a still image. And it worked. It was fine. It didn't matter. But there are some times that are brilliant, which I've got to... Oh, I meant to check that night, but I got him so late, I forgot. I was trying to get bits locked in my head, and there's a couple of bits I have got locked in my head, like when Miles Teller and Tom Cruise are looking at the F-14, and they're on this ridge, this Stowe Ridge, and looking down on the airfield. Well, I'm thinking, how far do their bodies go off, and where do they fit, and whatever else, and trying to get that locked in my head visually. I try and do this with films sometimes, like the grain here, and then see what's like at home, or the way the lighting is, or... There was that bit, which I need to check on the 4K. And there was I could actually do it now, actually. I've got a digital copy on here. I could load it up while I'm talking. Do I still have it downloaded on here? Yes, I do. If I mute it as well, so the sound doesn't come through. So I was trying to think of, like, you know, what was going on with this scene, this scene, this scene. And I was going to try and double check to see, you know, whether they just stretched the image or whether they've done something else. Whoa. Oh, they didn't come through. That was a bit of Harold Faltermeyer there. Let's have a look, see if we can find that scene. Note before that. Just to see, you know, how they did it, because it's really strange to see some of these bits happening. And there's another bit where they're in the briefing room, and I can't remember her name. God, what's her name? The female pilot. I can't remember her call sign. Well, she was talking off screen, and she was actually in the left-hand wall, and you could actually physically see her talking, like off the screen, which was fantastic. I'm like, oh my God, they've actually extended that scene. That's really clever. But I don't know if that was actually a thing or not, or whether it was just like a weird... I'm trying to like watch Top Gun Maverick now on my 4K monitor and not like get distracted from the podcast. But yeah, it was really weird to see her talk off. It's only just to the left, like just off to the left, but you could see her talking and opening her mouth and everything, and then the sound was coming out, but it was focused on someone else on screen, which was like a really weird sensation. I don't know what to make of ScreenX. I think maybe seeing it in a different cinema to see if the brightness levels are better or the screens are better, because there was a bit of dirty screen effect going on, and whether it washes out differently, and whether the frame rate was a Top Gun thing or a cinema thing or a ScreenX thing, I can't tell you. And the only person I know that's seen anything in ScreenX, and I had to explain to all my friends, right, this is the scene here. They're on top of a hill, they're looking with a little monocular to see. No, that's amazing. It's literally focused on their faces. You don't see their bodies. But in the ScreenX version, you saw the whole body down the side of the screen. So it's either an addition, like a CGI addition that ScreenX are paying for, or whoever's paying for, and Joseph Kosinski is signing off on it, or whatever. I don't know. It's fantastic to see that, you know, you're getting so much more image. It's like people with ultra-wide monitors playing games where they, like, extend the thing, like the curved wrap-round ultra-wide monitors. You get that full immersion. It's kind of like that. And now I kind of want that. It's something you can never have at home. You probably couldn't have a home version unless they release, like, stuff for those ultra-wide monitors or something, which is, you know, kind of crazy. But it's really strange to see how, I know, things have moved on. I see if I can find that briefing scene. I probably won't ever find it because there's so many briefing scenes and it's all the same, during the movie. I know it's definitely one of the IMAX scenes, so I'm just going to quickly flick through and find it. Maybe that one? No. I'm going to give up in a minute. But it's really strange to see how that worked. I don't know why I'd see in it again. I was tempted to go see Avatar in it, but I'm sorry, that's if I'm going to see Avatar, a film I don't want to see, then I'm going to go and see it in IMAX. I just am. It has to be IMAX for that one. It just has to be IMAX 3D. They've guaranteed in the cinema that the DCP they are showing is going to be on the high frame rate version. So I know for a fact that it's going to be the version I want to see. I want to see the high frame rate version. Now, it's only a Xenon projector, so it's only going to be 2K. Don't care about that. I wanted high frame rate. I wanted IMAX 3D. I wanted the IMAX version. That's all I wanted. And that's what I'm getting. So I'm happy with that. But I don't know what coming up, unless someone like Chris McQuarrie said, because he said he was going to push Dead Reckoning further. When I last talked to him on Twitter about it, I said, look, you pushed IMAX for Rogue Nation. Not Rogue Nation, Fallout. What are you going to do for Dead Reckoning? And he said, wait and see. He said, but it's going to be something new. It's going to be something big. It's going to be amazing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Trust you. Because you are amazing. I get that. I'm happy with that. And I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe if Chris McQuarrie does say, hey, look, we've specially filmed with special rigs, new bits for Dead Reckoning for Screen X, yeah, I'd go see that. I mean, maybe it is more immersive when Avatar, because all under the water, obviously you get it all wrapped around you. That's kind of cool. I'm in two minds. I need to see something else there or go to a different Screen X. I don't know where the nearest one is comparatively. I think it's quite far away. I think it's like London, so it's like a big trip. However, I always, for my birthday, go to London to go to the Dual Laser IMAX and the Empire or the BFI. Now they've got laser. I really want to go there and do something different. So maybe I'll stay for a couple of days this time and go to a Screen X down there and see if it's the same sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's fun. I liked it, but I want to see if the technical issues that I notice are film dependent or something else, see what's going on with that. So that's my news. I now work for the cinema industry in a roundabout way. Not making films, but, I'm in there, which is what I've always wanted to be. So I'm happy with that. So getting to news. Criterion have announced their March releases. Again, there is nothing for me here. David Lynch is in there, Empire, which is okay. It's not my type of film. I'm not a big David Lynch fan anymore. I used to be, like his earlier stuff, his 80s stuff, some of the 90s especially, but kind of drifted away from me. Last Hurrah for Chivalry. I like this film. I love John Woo. I'm not desperate to own a Criterion release in most times because I don't really like their quality control, but if I was going to buy one, it probably would be that. Mildred Pierce is good, but nothing I'm going to jump on straight away. And The Chilly Scenes of Winter, which is a film I've actually never heard of. The 4K restoration, and I'm sure it's the one thing that, people will jump on me saying, oh, it's the best film ever. It's just not what I've heard of. We have double news. We have MVD Rewind Collection are doing a 4K and doing Wes Craven's Swamp Thing, which is great. I own the 88 Films release of this, which is the uncut international version and the, I think, theatrical version as well. I love Wes Craven. I love Swamp Thing. I haven't seen it in a very long time. I need to watch that Blu-ray, actually. I bought it ages ago and, haven't actually watched it. So that's on my list over the next couple of days before I start this new job to get through some of these unwatched movies. So in theory, I will probably pick this up before I watch the 88 Films thing, which is what I normally do. It's great. It's cheesy, it's very cheap, but it's still a DC film. It should be released and it should look good. And then Lightyear Entertainment are doing a 4K of Return of Swamp Thing, so they've obviously worked together. Now, very much less successful. It's got a ton of extras though, which is great. I think I also have Return of Swamp Thing on Blu-ray. I can't remember if I do or I don't now that I'm thinking about it. Let's have a look and see. Because if I have a quick look at the cover, I'll definitely go, oh yeah, I do own that. Or, oh no, I don't own that. Let's have a look. If I don't, I just won't buy it now. I'll just buy the 4K. No, I don't. It's in a cool green case. And it's like 20 quid. Piss off. Oh, it's actually deleted. Blu-ray out of stock. It's only DVD that's available. Oh, crap. Oh, is this quite rare then? Yeah, I definitely don't own that. I thought I bought Return of Swamp Thing. Is this one of these things that's now on eBay and is worth a small fortune? I bet it is. I bet it's one of these things that came out and was deleted. But if I'm going to buy it now, I'll buy the 4K. Yeah, definitely not great. Oh my god, that VHS is amazing. That's one I used to have as a kid. I might buy that. Oh, cinema poster. Ooh, 30 quid. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. I want the Blu-ray, DVDs and Blu-rays. Let's have a look. Return of Swamp Thing. There doesn't seem to be one for sale, which is kind of crazy. I know MVD did Return of Swamp Thing, which is weird. They're doing the sequel now, the original now, and not the sequel. There's not a single one on eBay. That's crazy. Oh my god. So is this like super rare now and I've just not noticed it? If I change it to sold items and sort by highest price. £34. There we go. One single copy. So this must be rare as anything. I wish I bought it now. It was everywhere at one point. I never thought to buy it because I had no need for Return of Swamp Thing over Swamp Thing. Well, I never. Okay, well, I've learned something there. Yeah, I will buy them both because why not? Lightyear Entertainment, I know nothing about. But I'll definitely pick it up because it's better to get them both. And then get both in 4K. At least you've got the set then, haven't you? And I think it makes more sense to have both of them rather than one or the other. Arrow Video have announced their March releases. Again, no copy of Desperado. I mean, look, if they're going to start, I don't want to go on a too big a rant, but if they're going to start like putting postcards in and promising these things, maybe don't do it stupid early, because otherwise all you're going to do is end up like missing out on all this stuff because someone else get the license maybe, or Sony won't license to you anymore, or Sony release their own 4K or whatever else. I mean, it's stupid. I don't know why they keep doing this. I mean, they've started to put things out, like Wolf of Wall Street. That was ages ago, and finally it came out. So, I mean, that's great, but for some reason I don't know why. I don't know why they never got around to it. I don't know why. There's obviously reasons behind all this stuff. But yeah, so no Desperado again. We've got Boyhood for Richard Linklater. It's fine. I'm not desperate to own it. It's got worse extras than the Criterion release. It's fine. If it was in the deal with the 4K, I'd pick it up. Black Sunday, which is a great little John Frankenheimer movie. Shame it's only a 2K release. If it was a 4K release, I'd be more into it. I do like the art on it, though. It's really good cover. Original Restored Lossless Mono for the first time on Blu-ray. That's the reason I'd buy it. It's got a 2.0 and a 5.1 track as well. See, this is how you do it, Universal. They've got everything on there. It's not a ton of extras. It's kind of a shame. But I think I'd pick it up just because I like the cover and I like the original mono. Got 4 Film Noir Classics Collection Volume 2. It's got Spencer written all over it. Which has... What is in this release? I have to open a separate page now because it's not coming up. The Suspect, Sleeping City, Thunder on the Hill, Six Bridges to Cross. Not for me. Definitely a Spencer vibe, though, I think. The House That Screamed, Spain's first major horror film production. Never heard of that. It's definitely an Arrow sort of release, though, isn't it? And Knockabout, which is a Sammo Hung movie. I'm pretty sure I've seen that, and I remember it being fun. I don't remember a lot about it, to be fair. It's got 2 cuts of the movie, which is great. But yeah, it's a pretty... I thought they'd go into the new year like hard. I know people complaining recently about the fact that they only seem to be releasing like these, either really, really, really obscure things, or they've mostly been complaining about the fact that they're releasing these really, really big, like, blockbuster movies, like Robin Hood and stuff, but I want that from them. I want the preservation of these big blockbusters. I want the best version of RoboCop I can get in 4K, that's what I want. Now, a lot more up my street, as tends to be the way at the moment, is Vivision imprint releases for March. I'm going more to them at the moment. I haven't bought many of their things because it's very expensive to do. But yeah, I really like some of their things. So we've got Little Buddha from Bernardo Bertolucci. I don't remember a lot about it. It's been a long, long, long time since they came. I remember it being the big thing at the time. With Keanu Reeves, isn't it? Bridget Fonda, Chris Isaac. Yeah, I remember it being like a big controversial thing almost, Little Buddha, and I can't remember why. Probably because it's about religion and stuff, but it's got a 4K scan for the original negative, original commentary from filmmaker and film historian Jim Hempnell, interview with cinematographer Vittorio Totaro, who is, an idiot who, Universum. So it's still got the 2.1-to-1, like, framing, because it's got an interview, so I'm guessing he said it had to be there. Which is... Yeah, no. The House of the Spirits, which was a film I can remember being at video rental shops for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. Like, it was everywhere. I'm not in a hurry to watch it. There was a German release that came out years ago with like really cool cover art, I seem to remember. I'm not desperate to see House of the Spirits. I mean, I think I watched it on VHS when it first came out. It's one of those things that was around all the time. Much better and much more up my sort of thing is the second Clive Owen, Mike Hodges thing, which is I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, which is very good, little thriller. Was it Jonathan Rhys-Meyers? Yeah, Clive Owen, Malcolm McDowell, Charlotte Rampling. I think it's great little film, that. If you like things like Get Carter and Croupier and stuff, that's definitely worth picking up. The highlight of their lineup for me, though, has to be Jacob's Ladder. I'm hoping it's got a new master, but I don't think it has, because all it says is 1080p high definition presentation on Blu-ray, which means it's probably the same release, the same HD master that's been around for donkey's years, which is a real shame. I think it's a great film. This is more special features TBC, which is great, because I'm hoping they actually add something to this, because there's nothing there at the moment. Well, nothing new or interesting. It's got commentary, featurette, extra scenes. It's got PCM 2.0, which is great. Again, original audio, yes please. Nice slipcase, nice artwork. I mean, that's fine. Happy with that. and a film I haven't seen called Georgia with Jennifer Jason Leigh. From the director of Straight Time. I've seen Straight Time. Underrated independent 90s film, third performance, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Mare Winningham, rather, received a Best Supporting Oscar role nomination. I didn't realise that. Ted Levine's in it as well. I like Ted Levine. And last one is Return to Paradise with Vince Vaughn and Hesh. It's something I saw on DVD at the time. Is it late 90s? Yeah, 98. I don't remember much about it. It's nothing I'm going to jump on necessarily. I don't even know who directed that. Let's have a look. Return to Paradise. Joseph Rubin. Okay. He did what? The Forgotten Money Train, The Good Son, Dreamscape, Sleep with the Enemy. You know, it's a bit hit and miss, that lineup. I always remember Rosie Strick, who did Superman Lives, Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. We also wrote Doom, The Glass House, Wolf. He wrote The Saint. I like The Saint. Didn't know that. I didn't know he wrote that. Well, I never. That's something I'm going to have to look into then, isn't it? Yeah, so a decent lineup there, I think. Better than Arrow for me, because there's actually stuff I really want to see, and buy, rather. Next we have, so it's definitely going to be in my top 5 of the year, Banshees of Inisherin. It's coming out in America and the UK as well on actual disc, which is good because this stuff isn't a guarantee anymore. It's already up on HBO Max, I want to say, already. It's going on Disney Plus. I think it's next Wednesday, I want to say, which is great because it's definitely worth seeing. If you haven't seen it, if you saw In Bruges, don't be put off by the fact that it's like set in the past and it's very Irish. It is absolutely fantastic, really well directed. It'd be nice if there was a 4K release, but there isn't one, especially when Fox released Amsterdam in 4K. That's a terrible movie from a terrible human being and is not worth putting out on 4K. This should have got a 4K release and it hasn't, which is a shame. Talking of shames, Baba Hotep is being released on 4K. That's not the shame. The fact it's a Scream Factory release is a shame because we all know my prejudice towards Scream Factory. They are garbage men and women and it's going to be crap. It's not going to be a good release and I'm really annoyed that we don't get a better release from a better company. I still hold out, that maybe someone else will release it. I might end up importing it, but I haven't imported Army of Darkness and Evil Dead yet. With as much as an Evil Dead fan I am, then that tells you something, really, doesn't it? I'm still hoping Studio Canal put out a Army of Darkness 4K and Evil Dead 4K, but nothing yet. Hopefully soon. We have more details of Second Sight's release of Martin, the George Romero movie. So there's a 4K release and a Blu-ray release. The limited edition has like a big book and a big box like they normally do. I've got the Arrow DVD somewhere, which is the last time I saw this and the last time I bought a version of this, because obviously it's been locked up behind that. I can't remember his name, but the guy who owns that and Dawn of the Dead has locked them up and charges a fortune for releasing them. So it has a new 4K restoration of the 35mm dupe negative, approved by director of photography Michael Gomrick. HDR, obviously. New audio commentaries, which is good. New feature-length documentary. A new Score and Shadows thing. Got audio commentary from George A. Romero, which I think is from the Arrow release, if not before that. There's 2 George A. Romero ones, one with Tom Savini, Richard B. Rubenstein, Michael Gomrick, Donald Rubenstein. So there's quite a lot of bits and bobs on it, which is really good. And some other bits and bobs. I will pick this up. I think I'll get the limited edition. I'm tempted, like I did with The Guest, to wait, and a few other ones, to wait for a normal version. It's only... Where's the 4K? Oh, where's the 4K? It's only £39. That's not bad. I thought it'd be like $59. I mean, I suppose it is only one version of the film, unlike Dawn of the Dead. I waited for the smaller version of Dawn of the Dead because it was hideously expensive. It was just too much money. And last but not least, one of my favourite movies is finally coming out on Blu-ray. Now, I first saw this movie, I'm pretty sure I saw it in the cinema. I want to say it's 1985. Yeah, 1985. I might have actually seen it on VHS then, because that would have been 5 then. And I'm pretty sure I didn't go to the cinema until 1986 to see Chance Films the movie. So let's take that back. I'm pretty sure then I saw it. I might have seen it at the cinema oh no, I did. Right, so back in the day, as they do now, they show like older movies. So they show these new DCPs of old movies, like they show Batman Returns and Batman and whatever else. And like Christmas movies and stuff. They used to show old like release prints of like random 80s films. So I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the 90s and stuff like this. So I did see this in cinema. I remember doing that now. Oh my god. But not a release at all. I would have watched it a lot on VHS, a hell of a lot. I owned it on the release VHS. I'm pretty sure I've got the DVD somewhere. There is a bootleg release in Spain, which I didn't jump on. I was tempted to, but didn't. Because Paramount Home Entertainment are finally releasing Barry Levinson's Young Sherlock Holmes. Now, I know this by a different name. I know it's Young Sherlock Holmes, obviously, because that's what it's called. But that's not what it was called in the UK. I'm going to just have a look and find out the actual name. There we go. Young Sherlock Holmes and the Pyramid of Fear. That's what I know it as, and I've got the original UK quad poster, which cost quite a lot of money, which has got that title on it. I've got the Japanese Laserdisc, and I love this movie. I've always loved it. It flopped massively, but for some reason I liked it. I just always loved it. I'm glad that it has the 2 covers. So it's got the theatrical one sheet for the US on the front, and it's got the Pyramid of Fear poster art on the back. The inside is a bit of a mess for the steelbook. I don't care. What I care about, and I'm worried about, is this going to be the old HDTV master stuck on a disc, and that's all we're going to get. Now, I say worried in that I want more than that. I'm annoyed that it's just got True HD 5.1 because this feels like a disc that was made in like 2006 and they just sat around on the master and didn't do anything with it. It shouldn't have 5.1. I mean, it can have the 5.1 if it wants, but it really should just have a Dolby Surround track, 2.0 track. I just don't think it's going to be. I just don't think it's going to be very good. I think it's going to be a standard old HD TV master stuck on the disc. And do you know what? It's 2023. It's coming out. It's about a month away. If this is the best we're going to get, then this is the best we're going to get. As sad as that sounds, I'm not expecting anything better. I think this is the best I'm going to get, and I'll take it. I'll say I'm just like, nope, I'll take it. I can't get any more than this. So, yeah, fine, I'll take it. Because I love this movie. I think it's really fantastic. And definitely something worth celebrating, the fact that we've actually got a release of this coming out. Because every time they did the Paramount Presents line, everyone kept saying, oh, I really, really, really want this. Or, oh, can we have a copy of this? Oh, where's this? Where's this? And I was one of those people. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely one of those people. But it just never came. For some reason, it never came out. I don't know why it never came out. Whether it's some weird rights thing or they didn't have faith in it or whatever it is. But you think when Harry Potter was coming out, this is the exact sort of thing you want to whack on. It was always on TV in the UK. Like for years and years and years. It was always on TV. It's probably on TV this weekend. I'm sure Channel 4 show it like and things. I've got a million recordings on a million DVRs of this in HD because that's what I could, it's the only thing I could get. And finally, there is a actual release that's coming out, and that's great. I wanted more. You know, it's an important movie. You know, it was the first time that oh, like ILM did like the first ever CG character ever, um, which is fantastic. And that's why, yes, they painted directly on the film using a laser, so it's actually on the film. Um, this is fantastic. You know, I need to get a frame and get it framed, that poster, and put it up, because it's legitimately one of my favorite movies. And it's not perfect. I mean, thing is, I am absolutely terrible with this. You can talk about the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes, and even like Fraggle Rock Ampersand's Sherlock Holmes, which I like. I've always liked a Sherlock Holmes movie, but I think that if you go to like a real cinephile aficionado sort of place and talk about what the good ones are, the bad ones are, they'll probably go to things like that, or you know, something rather highbrow, or maybe even like the 7% Solution, which is fine. No issue with that movie. However, and it's probably going to upset some people, my favorite of the Sherlock Holmes cinematic releases are Young Sherlock Holmes and Without a Clue. Without a Clue is a legitimately amazing movie. In that, like, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's Ben Kingsley and Michael Caine. Michael Caine plays Sherlock Holmes, and Ben Kingsley plays Watson. And yeah, Watson is basically the genius, and Sherlock Holmes is an idiot actor he's hired to play Sherlock Holmes. It's fantastic, and it is really well made. But it's a sadly forgotten movie. I think there is it might be a Kino release. I'm just checking now. But I'm pretty sure it's region locked, and that's why I don't own it. There is a Kino release. Is that a French release? Oh, there's a few releases. Let's have a look at some of these. So there's Olive Films. Okay, and it is region locked. That's why I never bought it. There is that Spanish? Yeah, there's a Spanish release, so probably a bootleg of the Olive version, to be honest. Another Spanish release that is, again, probably a bootleg of the Olive. It's got English soundtrack. Doesn't say anything else details-wise. And there's another release which is from, is that Italy? France. There's a French release which also has English, also has English stuff and comes with a DVD as well. How much is that? 14. How much is that bootleg Spanish one? $9.99. Let's see how much this actually is. Ooh, I might just buy this right now. Should I just start buying things all the time on the streams? Do I buy it with a copy of The Eagle Has Landed as well for 21? No, I've got Eagle's Landed. Thank you very much. I don't like using Amazon Spain, but I know it's a bootleg, but who cares? I might buy that now, actually, because Without a Clue is great, and I don't own Without a Clue. I think I've got the DVD, but I haven't actually bought it in a very long time. Yeah, it's legitimately great. I mean, it's got Jeffrey Jones in it as the Strahd, who is fantastic. I mean, obviously Jeffrey Jones ended up being Jeffrey Jones, which we don't talk about anymore. But yeah, it's a weird thing that who I like, the things you end up liking are either defined by what you watched in childhood or the things that grabbed you or inspired you or whatever else. And I know a lot of people obviously think that, you know, the more serious Sherlock Holmes or the more grown-up stuff are the best stuff, and I can go with that. I'd agree with that 100%. However, those are my two favourites. And I'm really happy that Young Sherlock Holmes is finally coming out, so I can actually, you know, sit there and quite happily watch it of a Sunday afternoon. It's a real Sunday afternoon movie for me. It's the sort of thing that would be on, you'd go and rent. If there's nothing else, if you wanted to rent whatever movie you wanted to rent on VHS, you'd go over there to say rent Batman, but all the copies of Batman were rented because, hey, it's Batman, it's sold out completely. That's how these things work. But in saying that, I'd rather. Sometimes I'd rather watch some of those things, It's really weird, Sometimes you think, oh, I'd rather see this, or sometimes, I'd rather do that, and it's kind of crazy sometimes how these things like flip over. Yeah, I've always really liked it. Oh, I'm going to buy Without a Clue, aren't I? I've said to myself this week, I've spent enough on myself. I've finished off buying pretty much all Christmas presents apart from one. So what I should do is stop spending money on myself and start, spending money on other stuff. And yeah, I'm going to buy Without a Clue, aren't I? Do you know what? I'm not going to do it impulsively on the stream. I'm going to sit down for a minute. I'm going to have some breakfast, chill out, not really think about it. And, he says this as he adds it to a cart, and then also Google's True Relies, see if it's gone down in price. Yes, it has gone down in price. Oh, it's only €10. Oh, True Lies is only €10. Oh God. Oh God. I've kind of added both to the cart. Why have I added both of them to the cart? I shouldn't have added both of them to the cart. Oh no, weirdly, True Lies is the only thing I added to the cart. For some reason, Without a Clue didn't. Add to cart. Thank you. Right, so €19.99. Oh, they've got Ed TV as well. All these bootleg ones in Spain. I need to do a proper episode and research what is available in these bootlegs or not, because some of them are fascinating. It's got an HDTV master or whatever else, or they've done a copy of something. I know the version of the Shadow is absolute garbage because it was like an older master. Not that the Shout/medium rare version that I've got is any good, but it's the better version of it. Yeah, it's really weird. I like the idea of these bootlegs because they're doing the good work. They're doing the work that no one else is doing, and you're actually getting these releases because no one else is putting them out. Fox isn't putting out True Lies. As much as I'd love them to. Cameron being Cameron, he isn't doing it, is he? So I'd wish that someone had been doing something new, and also wish that I had ink in my lovely A3 state-of-the-art printer, because I'd make up a cover for them or find a custom cover, because I'm just seeing if there is anything to replace it with. Yeah, I'm going off on a real tangent here, which is kind of my thing, kind of what I do. But yeah, no real sort of big focus day. I mean, the focus was really sort of like my news and everything else. I actually have the job I want, which is working in a cinema, which is great. Really happy about it. Obviously, I haven't done the job yet. It could be a disaster. I don't think it will be a disaster, but potentially it will be a nightmare. I don't think it will, though. I think it'll be absolutely fine. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I just want to get the sort of the nitty gritty side of it, if you know what I mean. I want to get into the whole. I know how much there'll be quite a bit of it here and there, but not a lot of it. Where I get into like the whole thing about learning about DCPs, how they're downloaded, what they do, what the thing is of them, and what the stats are. I could actually talk about stats because it will say this one's high frame rate, or this is 3D, or this is 4K, or whatever else, something like that. I can get into all these things, which is fascinating to me, and I love this stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. And I can also get into more stuff around, finding out about, some little bits behind the scenes. I mean, I'm not going to blow my job for the sake of the podcast. As much as I love you guys and I love doing this and whatever else, I'm not gonna throw away the job I really, really worked hard for to completely blow this over the fact that I talked about something I shouldn't talk about. So we'll wait and see. I mean, there might be stuff to talk about. I might not be able to talk about anything. Hopefully my poster collection will increase because I like posters. I've just got to wait and see. I've got to wait and see what's going on, what's happening and everything else, and see what I do and don't want to do and go from there. I am excited about it. I am happy about it. And I think this is fantastic. But we shall wait and see. We'll see what happens and go from there. Really looking forward to it though. And I've just bought both those discs. That's annoying. Risky Lies, as it's translated to, which is a great title, isn't coming till 30th of January. So it's going to take over a month. Great. However, Without a Clue, which is translated to No Tracks, is coming next month. Not next week after. It's 29th December. So hopefully I shall be able to talk about those, my first 2 ever Spanish bootlegs, very soon. They are bought. Yay! I've spent money on the podcast again, which I said I wouldn't do. But yeah, no. So that's something to talk about in a new one. Let's say no real main topic today, just a little bit of, my news and everything else. There was a lot of news to catch up on from the last 2 weeks and a lot of stuff I've watched. So go and see Avatar. I will feed back after that, end of next week, to find out what I thought of high frame rate and all these other bits and bobs. And yeah, until next week, this is Mike saying, I'll see you next time.